All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and get us started here. Thank you guys so much for typing that information over here in the chat space. And that's just kind of one of the first steps for doing this training is we're going to talk about some of this Adobe Connect. For some of you, it may be a refresher. For others, it's just a little more practice with using Adobe Connect before you're on your own. As we're talking, if you have any questions or anything that you first, let's do this. You have the raise your hand feature at the very top, right above where it says welcome to AP Insight. You'll see the little raise your hand feature. If you received your leader's notes, please raise your hand for me. If you received those leader's notes, they're a Word document, the updated leader's notes. Excellent. Okay. Ivana is on it as usual. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay. So I wanted to talk to you real quick about, before we jump into everything, I wanted to talk to you real quick about some of those updates um, that you saw in the, let me put everything down. Okay. Yeah, it's kind of hard to do it when you guys are hosts. So if you guys can lower your hands now, that's great. I can't really do it. I can do it for you, but I have to do it one by one because you guys are hosts. Good. Okay. So just some of those quick updates that if you had the opportunity to take a look at them, that'd be great. But just some things to note that we did our best to incorporate much of your feedback. You may notice that there's some changes kind of in the order that the information is presented. We get them on the site a little sooner so that they're kind of engaged in working through the site with you and give them more of a guided tour of the site. So, from your feedback, we took that, let them get on the site a little sooner, as well as get some more information about the challenge areas and all that and what they are before asking them to do the roadmap. Because you kind of need to have that background so that you have a successful roadmap. We are, let's see, also much of what we worked on was kind of getting more clarity in how the resources should be used. One, to make sure that information was clear, that how the tools are used in terms of using them correctly, not using the resource as an item bank, but using it as part of the instructional formative learning process. So we hope that came clear to you. We also hope that the leaders notes kind of help clarify what you're being asked to present. You see the timings next to it, as well as the slide, the title of the slide name with it. And so you have that kind of order to guide you. And you'll notice that there are statements in there that say, you can say something like this, please feel free to rephrase. And we mean that. We want this to be your own presentation. So please don't see this as a script, items that words that you have to say verbatim. You're free, you're welcome to do so. But don't feel like you're so tied to it that you can't, inject your own personality, because the best presentations are those where your shining personality comes through. I'm loving Jeremy's question here. Jeremy asked that everyone get fives. So I know you guys are excited that that you guys have finished AP testing, and Jeremy wants to know that everyone's students get a five on the test. Yes, I do too. I do too. Todd said, absolutely love it. I love it. One note, we just kind of additional notes. The For world history, Anna's in the process of taking John's roadmap and making a sample, and she'll get it to him no later than tomorrow, so that you might see an update to the sample roadmap added to the website. That won't be added to your classroom. One thing that you'll notice are the reading materials down here. These are all chemistry, so this is exactly what the room will look like for you chemistry folk, and your world history folk. It'll be the same thing, but of course, world history materials. And one thing we have, we don't include, we have the chemistry or the world history blank roadmap, not the sample roadmap that's completed. Because it's kind of important. It's really important that the teachers go through the process of creating their own and not just take the completed sample as their own. It's going into the work, digging in the weeds of actually identifying how the challenge areas align up to their current syllabus is really important work that we want them to make sure that they're doing. So you won't see that full completed sample roadmap. It is available in strategic planning on both the AP Insight chemistry and world history sites. Okay, the other thing that I wanted to know is wanted to add to that is that sample, the roadmap, and the roadmap process. The most important thing that the goal of the roadmap is for the participants to really look hard at their syllabus and identify where they think the challenge areas are fit. And so if you kind of think of a better way to make that happen, then that's okay. It's the sample, other than the sample is just there to show them what it looks like. So it shouldn't be the end all be all of how they're doing it. It's more of getting that roadmap aligned to their current course. Does that make sense? Any questions, anything like that that you want to add? All right, great, great, great. Okay. And so you have this chat space over here on the side. Please be sure if I'm saying something that's not making sense that you say, Cheryl, what are you talking about? So grab me and let me know. If something is just, if I'm going too fast or if I'm covering something or talking about something that you aren't quite ready to take in all the way. So just let me know. Another thing to know, and Jeremy can attest to this. Jeremy is our rock star. He went first last Friday and delivered the first chemistry, um, well, the first one for this year for the chemistry welcome. So I'll be call, I'll be if Jeremy, please jump in if you have any insight or anything like that to add to what we're discussing here, based on your experience from being first. Please, by all means, jump in, grab the mic, and intercede. One thing to note is when you are delivering that welcome, kind of say up front when they get on the website that this website launched recently and the material is still being updated. So there's plenty of material up there, but there are some things that are still being worked on, finalized, so that they can be added to the website, so that they know this up front and don't do the, well, this is missing, I don't see this, that kind of thing. You're kind of giving them that information up front, that you understand that this is there and that you're working on making sure that they'll be notified. The website will be updated throughout. Somebody's playing. That's fine. All right, so that's one thing to note, that you to let them know. So if you guys can take notes of that the website is going to be updated throughout the summer. They can subscribe to the threads and share what works so that they can get the information as to when something's updated. They'll get an email. But again, much of the content is already on the site. Some of the performance tasks are not. And I will tell you specifically, oops, let me go to my notes here. For chemistry, let's see, make sure that you're, for the in chemistry, connect changes in H, S, and G to K. That is a challenge area that has everything on it. It's fully complete. So I really would suggest using that as your sample whenever you're showing things. And much of the materials that are used in the welcome are from that challenge area. And for world history, it's contextualization, interactions of religions and societies. That challenge area is fully complete. Everything's on there, all the assessments, all the performance tasks, everything is on there that needs to be. So really would suggest that you use those particular challenge areas to model how the resources are used and where the resources are located and how they're used formatively for instruction. But when they're creating their roadmap, they may look around and realize that something is missing, but just make them aware that those things will be updated throughout the summer. Oh, the challenge area for chemistry is connect changes in H, S, and G to K. Okay, great. How about world history? Let me world history. I'll say that one more time. Contextualization, interactions of religions and societies. Okay. So you might want to add that to your leader's notes or something like that so that you're aware of that information. Does that make sense? Do you guys get that? That, in your messaging, you kind of say that up front when they first go on the site that that the site is recently launched, still updating materials, and updates will occur throughout the summer. And, just kind of smooth, message it that way. Any questions about that? You guys are awfully quiet here. You sure? No questions? Nothing? And remember, you're welcome to send us feedback. Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that. You're welcome to send us feedback after this training session and ongoing. There's the AP Insight website that's listed on your leaders notes. You can send any kind of communication that way, and let us know if there's something we need to be aware of. Oh, my audio's going in and out. I'm sorry. They can subscribe to the Share What Works on the when they go to the Share What Works, they can subscribe to threads. And let's see if I can pull up a screen that looks at it. They can subscribe to the different threads based on the challenge area that they're interested in. They can subscribe and unsubscribe. And so anytime there's a comment or there's an update to that particular challenge area, they'll be notified via email. Sorry, I'm trying to get to it, and I know this gets dizzy up in here. Does that make sense, Joseph? Oh, good. Okay. I was trying to find the Share What Works so I can show you exactly what I mean. I think I passed it. Okay, maybe I'm not missing. I'll go on. All right. So, any more questions? Thanks, Joseph. That was a great question. Anything else about that information? Okay, I will keep on going then. So let's talk a little bit about Adobe Connect. And I see many of you have found the tool, so that is great. Raise your hand if you have. Let me see. I'm gonna do something different besides raise your hand. Give me a check mark if you have logged in to your classroom and have seen your classroom all set up. Awesome. Yay, look at you guys. You guys have this. Okay, Gerald, let's see. Let me get your information here and we'll see what's going on with you. Gerald, are you for, I know you asked me a question, but are you for world history or for chemistry? Okay. Let me take down your name real quick and I will find out what's going on with your room. Were you able to do it when we were in Chicago? Okay. All right. Good. Okay. Thanks, Amy. Oh, good. Okay. So, Amy, you were able to work that out. Okay. One person. We'll figure that out. All right, Gerald. We'll figure that out and see what's going on for you. Oh, okay. I see. Amy suggesting that you should try resetting your password. It gives you that option. Thanks. And Gerald, let me know. I mean, just send an email to AP Insight if you're able to get in. And if not, if I don't hear from you, I will work on getting you set up so that you're all good to go. Okay, great, great, great. All right, so it's just as we're looking around here with the Adobe Connect, some of you say that you were able to play in it. The main thing to remember is don't change anything in your room. Adobe Connect is very temperamental. She doesn't like you to mess with her or anything like that. So everything is set up as it should be. So, don't go into trying to make the screen bigger or do things like that. Rearrange the pods and these little where it says chat, the attendee list. These are all called pods in Adobe Connect. So please leave that as it is. It's set up so that you can do stuff that it's everything is set up as it needs to be. So, but if you make a mistake and something happens, by all means, let us know. We can fix it. It just is something that you need to be aware of. That she's very temperamental and doesn't like to be moved around. All right, and so you guys have noticed the raise your hand feature. Your participants will have access to that. But when they come in, they will not have the ability to talk, to use the microphone. They're automatically muted when they come in. And so they're to communicate via this chat box, okay? Kind of like you guys are doing right now. And if you've ever been into any kind of webinar live session, if everybody's talking at the same time, it gets very, very confusing and just really hard. as well as you hear everybody's background noise. You know, it may not bother them, but you can hear the dog barking, you know, the children screaming, all that kind of good stuff. So we found that it works best to have all the participants muted, and you're the only one with the ability to talk. So it's also good to check your audio. So we'll go through real quick some of the tools that are available to you. So you see on the left, you have the attendee list. And as you notice, you guys are all hosts. So when you're live during a session, you'll see your name listed as a host, and you'll see all the other participants listed below. The other thing you may see are, people coming in, you'll have like these little things that pop up to say, Mary Smith would like to enter as a guest, accept or decline. Accept anybody that comes in. They should be signed up to attend, but things happen where they are added at the last minute and we were unable to put them on the list. So if they come in as a guest, go ahead and accept them. The other thing is, let's see. The other thing is, let me see, some people are playing around. That's good. Go ahead and play around a little bit, but just be careful about doing these things here, because I think what you selected was the ability to see these things here. Okay. All right, so the first thing to do when you start, you can hit the sync button that's at the very bottom, and that makes everyone kind of be on the same page as you. Let me see, I want to get rid of that real quick. You also have a tool here at the top where you have a pointer. And so when you're like right now, I'm using my cursor on the screen, and you're unable to see that. You can't see me using my cursor, but if you want to point something out, you can use a pointer. And that's right next to that line that says "Welcome to AP Insight Chemistry." Right above the PowerPoint, you'll see an arrow, so you can put in this green arrow so that you can point something out to people. You can also suggest to participants that if they're having trouble reading the graphics or something like that, they can select it's next to the button that says stop sharing, and it's about 4 arrows that point out. That's the full screen toggle, so they can select that if they're having difficulty seeing the graphics or reading some of the words on the screen. They can do that. Now, right now, it looks very small to us. The screen and everything looks very small, and I'll let you know that the participants participants view is a little bit larger. So their slides are going to look a little bigger than ours do here. Let's see, Linda, do we? Yes. Yes, you do. You should be getting that. It usually comes from Ivana, I believe. Right here at the bottom, Linda, where it says sync, if you hit sync, that makes it so everybody can see what you see. Okay, good. All right, and so the other thing to know is those are the things that are on your screen. So you see you have the chat over here on the right. You also have the ability right next to the word chat. There's like a little arrow that kind of looks like a menu, and a very small drop down arrow. If you drop it down, you can clear the chat history, so that if you are delivering one session and you come back and you're delivering another, you may not want all that information in your chat space, so you're able to clean it out if you need to. And let's see. I'm gonna stop right there and see if there are any questions real quick. Here is up here at the chat at the very top. It's on, right where it says chat on the right hand side. There's like a little drop down menu, and you can select clear chat from that. Uh-oh. Yep, those are the kind of things to be careful of, like when you get rid of something, not the clear. It was just clear chat. You don't get rid of the whole thing. Let me see if I can put it back. Okay, so let me have control. Okay. All right. So, Stephen, what I did was kind of go back to where did I go actually?
I'm sorry, let me fix that real quick. Okay. I know, right? Yeah, just be careful with that you select the thing. You don't want to close it out completely. You just want to hit select clear chat. And let me see. Move this one here. This is the one we want to go away. All right. So this is, so that's again the things about leaving, some of the stuff alone because it's like I said, very temperamental, very easy to get rid of. Yeah. So you're only pointing it at the clear chat. That's it. You don't have to, it can stay in there, but it really is something that if you have another session, you may want to clear it. Okay. All right. So any questions about that? Those with the items I've shown you thus far. Oh, okay. I'm sorry, Linda. Up here where it says chat, you see? Okay, someone is moving it. Okay, here we go. All right, so it's where it needs to be. Up here at the top where it says chat, it's on the right hand side of our screen next to the slides. Thanks, Rob. Okay, you see the word chat, Linda? There's a drop down arrow right next to the word chat. It kind of looks like a few lines and a little drop down arrow. If you click on that drop down arrow, you'll see a green box. And then you select just clear chat. Does that work? Did you figure? Got oh, good. Okay. All right. So those are just some of the tools that are in the room. That's pretty much what you'll use. The other thing that you'll need to do is if you select meeting up here at the very top, the word meeting, you'll see for me right now it'll say stop recording. Drop down to I guess it's about the third section, the third box maybe within the meeting where it says stop recording. If we're already recording, so if you need when you're ready to record your meeting, you're going to hit meeting and start recording. Okay, and remember you have all this information in your binder from Chicago. It's right after the welcome. There's a section with all of the Adobe Connect kind of materials and training information. So you can play with these in your room once you leave here. Did that make sense to you guys about the meeting and the start recording? Right now it says stop recording, but for you it'll say start recording. Good. Okay. All right. The other thing is the audio. When you get started, like for me, after you're going to do a when you use Adobe Connect for the first time, you're going to want to make sure that your audio is set up and ready to go. So you can select either under meeting again. I would go to meeting again and set up the audio setup wizard. Raise your hand when you find that. When you click on meeting, you don't have to do it right. You don't have to actually select it, but just go to meeting and audio setup wizard. Let me know when you see that. Oh, good, 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 good. Look at those hands going up. Awesome. All right, great. That's what you'll use to set up your audio to make sure that you're able to hear others. Well, you won't necessarily need to hear, but so that you're able to speak and everything. The other thing is that you will see you will need to select your microphone up at the very top. This is how you know that you're able to speak. Your microphone will be green. Okay. So what I'm going to ask you to do right now is select that microphone and see green for you. Hey, say hello.
Hello.
Hey,
Hello.
great. And you see next to your name the little microphone, the one speaking, and we can
Hello.
hear.
Hello. Wow.
Awesome. Oh, great. Okay. So now mute your. I see a lot of you are muting your microphone. So go ahead and do that as well. And you'll see an arrow, the red mark across the microphone. So you know you're muted. And now you hear why we mute the participants as they come in, because the background noise, the echo, all those different things can happen. Look at you guys. See, you guys are rock stars here. Okay. So let me know if there's any of that. There's any questions about that. So did you all receive your headsets? Give me a hands up for that. Yay, yay. Okay, who said no? Brenda. Okay. Get a quick name here. Gotcha. Okay, so they are coming, is my understanding. Okay. Do a real. Take these, and I will. I think they're still working. They should be in the mail. I believe they were put in the mail a couple days ago. So if you haven't gotten it yet, it should be on the way. Give it, if you don't have a session coming right up, give it about a week. And if you don't receive it, please be sure to email AP Insight. Uh-oh, you can't hear me? Okay, so Jeremy, you can hear me? Oh, good. Okay. Oh, okay. Huh. All right. There we go. Oh, that's interesting. I'm not sure why. Okay. So the last thing, let's see. Let's look what else. We've got the audio. Get you guys playing around. That's good. Let's see. All right, so that's pretty much it for the Adobe Connect. So I'm going to stop right here and see if there are any more questions. When we click, does the wizard? Yes, Linda, when you click the audio setup wizard, it takes you through. It does this whole kind of test where it lets you hear the audio. Does it sound good to you and things like that. Good. So let me stop right there because I'm going to move on kind of to our last little part here if you guys don't have any more questions about Adobe Connect. And again, you have your room set up, you have the instructions for it. The only thing we ask is please, oh please, don't change anything in the room, but you're more than welcome to go in and look around and make sure, you know, I really highly recommend you test out your audio, make sure all that's together and working for you. All right, so I'm gonna give you a couple more seconds, see if anybody's people are typing here, if you have any more Adobe Connect questions. Joseph, yes, you're going to take a screenshot for attendance, and your computer may do screenshots differently. I have a snippet tool on mine where it just, you know, I just click it and I can take a screenshot of what's on my screen. Some of you may use print screen, I'm not sure. So do a, you know, look for it. If you don't know how to do it, we should be able to have enough sample teacher logins. You should have some sample teacher logins, or they're built into those leaders. I'm sorry, let me finish answering Joseph's question first. I'm sorry. So you take a screenshot. You make sure that you understand on your computer how to do a screenshot. And near the end of your session, basically like when they're doing the last few minutes or whatever, you want to make sure you get a screenshot when you have your full attendance. So figure out how to do that on your computer, take the screenshot, and then send an email to AP Insight with the information about, you know, the date of your session, who was in attendance, and by that I mean the group, what the group's name is if you have that information, and then send the screenshot of the attendance so that we know who was there and who's not. Does that make sense, Joseph? Right, good job. Yes, Jeremy, yes. That is, you know, sometimes like Jeremy had a moment where he kind of lost connection for briefly, and it was just kind of little hiccups and things like that. And so, you know, it's really good. Jeremy did a great job. You don't panic. You just say, you know, well, let me see if I can fix this. And for Jeremy, it was easily fixed by just kind of logging in and logging out, you know, again. We found that Chrome, I believe it is Google Chrome, does not do well with Adobe Connect, but Firefox and Explorer work well too. Linda, yes, look in the leaders notes. There should be some sample teacher logins that are built into I believe that they're included in there in in the leaders notes, and they say kind of like demo teacher or something like that. Let me know. It should be just a couple. You really shouldn't have. We're working really hard to make sure that every participant who comes has their login information. If they have trouble logging in, you just tell them that it's the username and password that they used for their audit, and that if they've forgotten, they can click on forgotten password. Thanks, Stephen. I knew they were in there. I just couldn't tell you exactly where. But you really should, like I said, you really shouldn't have to use them, more than once or twice. The teachers who are attending should have their login information, should be able to log in without a problem. Nope, those are it. Anything else that you can think of? All right, and some other things that I wanted to make sure that you're aware of. At the end, make sure the participants know how to access the challenge area and the roadmap online modules. Let me go back to that. So they're going to make sure, make sure you kind of go over this particular slide in detail where you show them how to get to these, that they're going to go to the professional learning tab, AP Insight in your classroom, and then they're going to go to welcome to, they're going to go to plan your course. The welcome to AP Insight is going to be the recording of the actual, so if they've missed it or they want to review that welcome, they can. But the plan your course is where they're going to go to find those online modules. So each participant, regardless if they're doing the face-to-face training or the online, training for the remaining of their training, each participant, their immediate next step is to finish their roadmap and to go through the challenge area modules. So these are 2 online modules that they will need to complete. They can expect to expend about 30 minutes to an hour with each of the modules, so they can plan accordingly. They can do them, they can stop and come back to them, things like that, because these might be some of the questions you'll get. They can stop and come back. They don't have to finish it all in one setting, but that please make sure that they understand that that is their immediate next step. So you can double check that when you get to the end, kind of, everybody understand what you're supposed to do next. Raise your hand. Does everybody understand how to get to their, to the plan your course, to the online modules? You can do, that way, raise your hand and all that kind of stuff. Well, I don't mean you guys have to. I'm just saying that that's kind of what you can communicate to your participants to double check to make sure that they understand that. Does that make sense to you guys? Okay, now you can raise your hand. You guys are funny. Thank you. All right, and so the other thing is to make sure that you know what their next step is after those online modules. Will your group be continuing on to do the other online modules, or will they be receiving a face-to-face training? And so make sure you're aware of that so that you can direct them to be able to do that. And it's pretty much the same course, same steps. If they are taking the rest of the modules online, they go to plan your course and complete the steps. There's a step 1 here, then there's a step 2 if they're going on to the online modules. And again, that's content that's going to be added throughout the summer. But this information about the next, those challenge area and roadmap online modules, those are available right now. So that once you finish giving them this welcome webinar, they can go directly to that and complete those 2 modules. All right, let's see. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I thought that was it. As people were typing, good. So right now I'm going to open it up we got a few minutes here, I'm going to open it up for questions about the website itself. Let me know, have you been able to go on to the World History or the Chemistry website and look around? Great, great, great. Awesome. Okay, great, great, great. Yes, and God how much they had put it. Yes, there's a lot of stuff in there. And so yeah, I'm glad you kind of have to have that experience of getting lost first so that you can, find your way out. And that's what's going to happen to, our participants, and that's what we're trying to help them overcome, to go through the process and know what to do. So one of the things that you will be doing is that you're going to, make sure that you're familiar with the steps of this welcome. One thing that you'll be doing, or one of the main things you'll do, in addition to helping them with the roadmap, you're going to be kind of walking them through the site. Now, the thing to remember is that they will be on the site basically in a separate window while you are here, in this forum. You're in the Adobe Connect forum. You will not be sharing your walkthrough of the website with them live. It's just very challenging to do so. So you'll be doing things like, I'm sorry, I'm flipping back and forth. I just want to make sure that you kind of get to this part where when they're doing the tour. So when you do the tour, you'll say something, the leaders notes kind of walk you through this. You tell them we're going to log on to the site. The site's arranged with these buttons. You've got strategic planning, challenge areas, share what works, and professional learning. And we're going to start with strategic planning. So you're going to kind of walk them through and let them know what's there. But at the same time, make sure you please convey to them that, how the resources are to be used. So they don't just start clicking around, looking around at stuff, that they are actually following what you're saying. And you can say things to them like, if you get lost, come back to the presentation so that you can make sure your screen looks like mine. And you kind of reorient them as they're going through the tour. All right, so now you're in strategic planning. Does your screen look like this? Come back and take a look at the presentation. Are you looking at this page on the website? And you take them through. This isn't necessarily on the website, but and then you tell them, okay, so now we're going to go through prepare, teach, assess, act. Kind of take them through these things and let them know that's pretty much how it's set up. You're going to walk them through selecting a challenge area. Okay, and so, when you're on that website, you'll be able to kind of follow along what I'm saying. But what I mean by that is that you stay here. You stay in the Adobe Connect room. Okay. Brenda, I'm sorry, Brenda, I'm going to answer your question in just a second. Is this where we can find? Yes, you should be able to see the biology one. I'm sorry, I just realized there were some questions over here. You'll be able to see the biology one, where you can watch that biology presentation. And Brenda, if you're logging on and it says biology, there should be an arrow next to the word biology where you can change it to chemistry. I believe you're in chemistry. So let me know if that's not the case, and I can make sure that that's corrected for you. Okay. All right, so the other thing, so you're going to kind of walk them through again through the tour of the website, but your goal here is to orient them to the website, but make sure that they're aware of the formative application, the formative process of all the materials. So you're going to, walk them through. When they select a challenge area, you can recommend, like for chemistry here, to select the connect, change, and H, S, and G to K, because we know that's the one that has all the materials in it. Although they may select a different one, you might want to kind of encourage them to check that one out because they can see all the resources there. All right, so I'm gonna put myself on mute here, and if you want to grab the mic, if you have a particular question about the website, go ahead and grab the mic and let's see if we can get your questions answered or direct you to where we can get answers to your questions. And also, Jerry, kind of provide any lessons learned from Friday's.
Yeah, thanks, Cheryl. I'll just say a couple of things that I learned through the first time is you definitely want to be, and I did go through the website, but you definitely want to be as familiar as possible with the website because it's kind of difficult whenever you're guiding the tour and you're not on it yourself. So the teachers are, I think I had 7 or 8 in my group, and they're all kind of browsing, and it's kind of directed, but at the same time they're exploring the ancillaries and such, and will pop up questions about certain stuff in that tab, and if you're not familiar, um, it makes it a little more difficult. So make sure you familiarize yourself with the website. one of the other challenging things for me is that because you can't see how they're progressing, timing, like knowing how much time to give them in each tab was a bit odd for me. I couldn't feel whether I was giving them too much time or too little time. So it's just something you might want to kind of feel out. So you'll kind of want to go through the presentation as if you were a participant, just so you can kind of get a feeling of all that stuff. Also, be aware. I think a common question you'll probably get is because some teachers will have things that they think should be challenge areas and are not. I think it'll be common that they'll ask, will there be more challenge areas coming? And there are not, as far as I know. So, other than that, I did have the one audio issue in the middle of the thing, and that's another thing. Yeah, you have the leader's notes, and so you're kind of keeping an eye on the leader's notes, and then you're also looking at the screen, trying to go off the screen, and you have the set of questions, or you have the text box on the right. And I had my audio had gone out for like a couple of minutes, I guess, before I actually realized it had gone out because I hadn't seen anybody's questions. So it just takes a little bit of practice. I do apologize for any of you if you end up, I don't know if they're going to put my my session out as a demo. That's all I can think of off the top of my head, Cheryl.
Thanks, Jeremy. Jeremy did great. I mean, he really did, and was very natural. He, one thing that I thought was really great that Jeremy did was enter something, including his personal experience, what he found, and looking at it, that this will help him do something, this he could see using this in his class and things like that. Those were all very helpful to help the teachers understand how the resources are to be used as a formative process. He also had one question, and you may get this question as well. It's when you start talking about the quizzes. The question was, let me see if I can say it correctly. The question was, well, what's to stop the students from sharing, students in first period from getting the answers and sharing all the answers with the other students? And that's when you start talking about the formative process. And I'm not saying that'll come up every time, but it may. That's when you start talking about the formative process, that it really does them no good to share the answers with each other, because this is supposed to be about learning and not about a grade. So you kind of have that conversation too. Let's see, Linda, how did you fix Jeremy? I believe, Jeremy, you logged in and logged out, and that took care of it. It was just kind of, it was
Actually,
and it really wasn't
that
even several minutes. It was like a minute tops that this went on.
Yeah, that actually, I didn't have to log out for the one in the session. It actually just fixed itself. I think I had some latency issues on the internet on my side because it was affecting everybody. So I think it was on me. My other issue was actually when we got together beforehand, Cheryl, before we did the meeting. Remember, I couldn't speak, like my microphone wasn't working at all, and so I was in Google Chrome, which I'm in right now, and it seems to be working fine. But I was in Google Chrome, and I just got out of it, and I opened Windows Explorer, and that fixed my audio problem. So, but that was also the very first time I hooked up my mic. So I did get on early, very early, to make sure all my mic and stuff was up and running, make sure I knew my way around um, everything on the site. But yeah, it wasn't bad. It ended up, timing was definitely not an issue, by the way, if that's something because that was something I was kind of worried about. Will I be in the right time frame? It's impossible to go too short on it. There's just absolutely no way you're going to go shorter than the time allotted, especially with the part where they built in the working on their, what's the word, the roadmap. So with that stuff in there, it's just not going to happen. So I think I talked for, did like the presentation for an hour 15 and then 15 minutes for like question and answers. So, an issue.
Thanks, Jeremy. Yep, that's the case. And remember, there's timings next to the leader's notes that kind of give you a range. They're suggested times, but you can kind of, as Jeremy is saying, it's, you're not looking at them. So how do you know if they are ready to move on to the next step? So you can kind of gauge for yourself. Look at those timings that are on the leader's notes. Those are timings based on what our experience in other subjects that have worked. But you can also say things, like you saw me say
raise your hand if you're ready to move on, or raise your hand if you have identified the building blocks for your challenge area when they're working on the roadmap. To kind of give them cues and everything to that refocus them if they're looking at other things, because you know things happen where they're not paying attention. That kind of helps refocus them, but also gives you the cues you know if it's time to move on or if they need a little bit more time.
And it does, I think, takes a little getting used to, like following the leader notes and following the slides, all that. Because I found I'd get to kind of get lost in the slides, and I'd be going through the slides and working off those, and then all of a sudden I realized I missed like a full page of leaders notes worth of stuff I was supposed to mention. So, and then I'd like whenever I gave them time on the tour, I go back and make sure I hit all the high points. So, I think it's one of those things that practice makes perfect. You know, I think it went all right, but I think next time will be better. So,
Thanks, Jeremy. So I'm gonna let you guys, any questions or anything that you've seen with the website, with Adobe Connect, with the leaders notes, anything like that right now that you still have questions? All right, so how are you feeling? How are you feeling about the materials? Do you feel like you're ready to go, that you have what you need so that when you're asked to deliver this, that you're ready to go? Stop, Jeremy. You did an awesome job. You'll receive an email. Let's see, I'm looking at Stephen's question. When will we be notified if we are leading a lesson? You'll receive an email from Ivana, kind of checking for your availability, and she will let you know. So that'll come from Ivana. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think so too, Amy. I mean, those are great points, and you guys are kind of saying the same thing here. That as Jeremy said, practice makes perfect. This is not it's not easy to kind of have all those different things going on at the same time. You're looking at the chat, you're looking at your leaders notes, you're looking at the presentation, all that kind of going on at the same time is a challenge. And I think with practice that you'll improve each time that you do it. But I really do recommend, as you guys are mentioning, and then you guys are top of the line. I'm sure you're going to do it, to go in there and practice. You can, get in there and just kind of go through the site, spend some time going through the leader's notes, leading that. Those are all great tools to let you, to get you ready for this. Yes, Linda, I think you'll do fine.
and another thing, whenever I think the people we're presenting to probably, will be the first time a lot of them are even hearing of challenge areas, I would think. So one thing, I selected electrochemistry to give them an example of why it's not a challenge area. We talked about how at our session in Chicago how challenge areas are defined and everything, but like electrochemistry is just, even though some students find it challenging, it's not a foundational subject to everything else. So whereas equilibrium reaches into different topics and thermo reaches into different topics and bonding reaches into different topics, really electrochemistry is kind of on its own little branch out there, and the data didn't back up the necessity to include it as a challenge area. So I'm sure a lot of teachers are going to be like wishing that their certain topics would be a challenge area, and it's just doesn't meet the criteria.
Great point, Jeremy. Yeah, so those are kind of the questions you may get. Well, why do we get to select our own challenge areas? Are they going to add more? That kind of stuff. And that is these challenge areas were done through research, chief reader reports, things like that. And as Jeremy said, they're foundational. They're not only challenging, but foundational. And so I really like the way Jeremy put it, that it reaches through several different concepts in the course. So although there are other areas that students may find challenging, these are the concepts or the challenges that were identified to be used. So that's a great point. Well, if you guys don't have any more questions, I'm gonna, if there's anything else you want to say, I'm gonna hang out for another 5 minutes or so. So if you want to play around in the site and maybe come back and talk to me if it's troubling you. Like I said, I'll be here for like another 5 minutes. But if not, you're welcome to go, and good luck to you. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for your time this evening. Have fun. If you have any questions or concerns, please be sure to email that APN that you received. So thank you all again.